What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tonkai here. Welcome to the video. Now, I haven't recorded or uploaded for like 3 weeks, but that's because I was traveling to Spain. I'm here right now. I'm on a vacation. I'm in a house with like 5 more people, so it's pretty hard to record, almost impossible. As you can see, I need to hold my microphone. The setup isn't the best, and overall, it's just a pretty shitty situation, but this is a temporary thing because the 7th of July I will be here for like 12 more days. Then I'm moving over to the United States of America, and right there I'm gonna have my proper setup. But until then, you just gotta settle. You just gotta settle for these types of videos. Now I saw episode 112, I believe, even before, when it came out like a few weeks ago, but I haven't reviewed it. And my policy, when I have a couple of episode reviews to do in one video, because that has happened quite a few times in the past 12 months, is that I need to watch the latest episode, review it, and then move on to the next one. It's not like I can watch the last 3 episodes and then just review them separately. No, I'm actually going to review episode 112, I believe, right now. That was the recap episode. Then I'm going to watch episode 113, then I'm going to review it, and then I'm going to watch episode 114, and then I'm going to review it. Yeah, that's just a policy I have. I'm not gonna explain why I do it right now because I already wasted like almost 2 minutes right now. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into episode 112 review. I'm gonna be incredibly short with this one because I really don't want this video to be too long. This is probably gonna be my shortest episode review ever. Now, I'd say that this was the second recap episode of the Boruto anime. Yes, we did have the episode where Orochimaru was analyzing Mitsuki's memories, I guess. But I don't want to classify that one as a recap episode. The first recap episode, in my opinion, was episode 50, and this was the second one. Unlike the first recap episode, this episode wasn't perfect, only because of one detail, and I'm going to focus on that one detail. It's the fact that it was never really explained to us why only one character can become a Chunin. Don't get me wrong, I fully agree with Shikadai becoming a Chunin over Sarada, despite Sarada being one of my favorite anime characters in general, not only Boruto characters. And if you ask me, do I like Sarada or Shikadai more? I like Sarada 1,000,000 times more. And, you know, just overall she's more original and more interesting to me. But I just think that right now, if one is to be promoted to Chunin, it should be Shikadai, because his leadership skills are superior to Sarada's. That said, I think that Sarada fully deserved to be a Chunin, but it was stated in this episode that by Naruto or Shikamaru, I don't know, I watched it like 2 weeks ago, or even more. It was stated that only one character can become a Chunin from the village. Why? Just why? It was super lazy, super convenient from the writers. We never got a proper explanation, and this is why this recap episode goes from a 10 to a 7.5, because that really shits on the entire episode. Other than that, I thought the episode was pretty much flawless. For a recap episode, it was pretty interesting. We were seeing comments from Naruto and Shikamaru about all these Chunins and their progress. I've been saying this many times in the past that Denki's character development was one of the best in the Boruto series, and I think Naruto and Shikamaru mentioned that, how he came a long way. We even saw the addition of Sasuke in this episode. A lot of people were making jokes how he just stopped his daughter from becoming a Chunin, but it's obviously much more deep than that. And I know this was very short for this episode. I have quite a few things to say, like I always do with a bunch of episode reviews, but I just wanted to point out the main things right now because I want to move on to the next 2 episode reviews. First of all, I need to watch these 2 episodes, right? As I said in the intro. And overall, this episode gets a 7.5. Unlike the first recap episode, which got a 10, this one wasn't perfect just because of that one comment. It's not like I'm nitpicking. It's just that this literally sets the premise for the entire episode. Like, what's the reason behind one person becoming a Chunin? Why couldn't Sarada become a Chunin as well? But yeah, anyway, I'll show you my next episode review after I finish watching it. I'm gonna be pretty short with this one as well because it wasn't too complex or complicated. So this was the first mission of Shikadai as a Chunin, and this episode teaches us a lesson that you're not supposed to be too confident. You're not supposed to be arrogant if you're above somebody. And that's exactly what happened in this episode with Shikare. Probably subconsciously. Yes, you can make an argument that Wasabi and Iwabe are were literally being idiots in this episode, but still, as a captain, he was supposed to manage it in a different way, which didn't include rage, frustration, and yelling, I guess. Now, this episode was far from perfect because I felt like some of the things going on in this episode made these characters behave unnaturally, just slightly, not too much, right? Because yes, it is okay for Shikare not to be flawless, but still, I feel like it wasn't too natural for Shikare to say, I'm gonna finish the mission by myself, you two go, right? Also, look at Iwabe and Wasabi in this episode. They were acting like they were 3 years old. And, stuff like that, some of these convenient things in this episode, it's something that decreases the final rating. I really enjoyed Boruto's laid-back attitude in this episode. I enjoyed some of the comedy moments in this episode, the slice-of-life elements. I mean, they're pretty much great / perfect throughout the Boruto series in general. The mission itself wasn't too spectacular or anything like that, but still, it was fun. I wonder if Tonsuke is somehow related to Tonton, the pig from Naruto Shippuden. She's in his pig. Yeah, anyway, this episode gets an 8 out of 10. The reason why it's such a high rating is because at the end of the day, this episode does teach us a lesson. The pacing was cool because, it was Shikare's first mission as a chunin. He saw that he has some flaws, he learned a new lesson, and everything was wrapped up in one episode. And the reason why I took off 2 points was because characters were kind of weird in this episode. But overall, the episode went by pretty quickly. I'm going to watch the latest Boruto episode, and then I'm going to review it. See you in a bit. I think we're super close to the manga. In case you forgot, go to chapter 11 and you'll see that some of the scenes from chapter 11 were actually adapted into this episode, but they were modified slightly. Like, for example, in the manga, Momoshiki and Kenshiki interrupt the Chunin exams during the Boruto vs. Shikare fight, and in the anime, Boruto wins the Chunin exams and then they come. So the manga and the anime have some differences, but pretty much in chapter 11, Boruto gets multiple cards of Naruto, and then, he's frustrated about it, and the same thing happens, in this episode. Now, just like with the other 2 episodes that I reviewed in this video, I'm going to be super quick with this one because, it's 3 reviews in one video, and starting next week, I'm going to get back to my usual longer reviews, but anyway, this episode was pretty fun. Out of these 3, I'd say this one was the best. Basically, in this episode, we have the introduction of Gemaki cards. I don't know why they translated them as X cards, because the characters pretty much say Gemaki, and how is Gemaki equal to X? Maybe Gemaki means X in Japanese. I'm not sure about that, because obviously I don't speak Japanese. I just know a couple of words that I picked up from watching anime, but anyway, we have the introduction of Gemaki cards, and I think they were introduced in chapter 11, not before. Yeah, because before we had the versus Momoshiki arc, and this tells us that we're close to the manga. Now, the preview for the next episode showcases Team 25, which is super random, but still, we're probably gonna get a few episodes. I still think that the Sasuke Shinden novel is gonna be adapted, and then we're gonna get into the manga territory. Now, this episode was pretty fun. And the main plot is basically Metali fighting against Boruto over who's gonna get a card in the second series, whether it's gonna be Rock Lee or Shino. Yeah, the concept itself is pretty childish, but it is what it is. It was just some slice of life content, I guess. Now, Denki showed a pretty clever business side of his brain in this episode when he was talking about demand and profits or whatnot. And considering the fact that Kaminarimon Company is super huge, I feel like his father should have been the one to think about that, because otherwise, how do they get so big? And he even says that he does this as a hobby, this card thing. So maybe that's why he wasn't thinking about profit or whatnot. And at one point, I think somebody, either Boruto or Shikare, says that Denki is the future ninja president. Now, obviously, we have the Hokage position. We had the feudal lords, but maybe I'm just dumb and I forgot. But since when did we have ninja presidents in villages. Maybe I'm missing something. Just leave it in the comment section in case I'm wrong or something like that. But yeah, that caught my attention. You know, there were quite a few funny moments in this episode, especially Sheena's reaction when he heard that Kiba got a card. You know, it was super convenient that the fire started in that house, and then Rock Lee and Shino saved the child, and then their popularity went up. Pretty convenient, but again, it wasn't a super serious episode. It was just a chill episode, showcasing the daily lives of these characters. Sarada's comments towards men were funny. Boruto's comment towards women was also funny. There was a nice little parallel right there. And overall, this little fun episode gets a 9 out of 10 for me, not a 10, because still you have that super convenient thing with the fire that kind of felt forced, to be honest. But other than that, it was cool, it was funny, and there was a nice little lesson at the end when Sheena and Rock Lee said that they don't want them to fight over them getting a card, because that type of popularity isn't super deep and it's not so important, but they're grateful that these students were fighting for them. Obviously, Metal is Rock Lee's son, but yeah, I'd like to point out that Metal Lee wasn't anxious in this episode, which I guess shows that he was working on his anxiety. I mean, we had an episode about him many episodes ago where he did kind of grow as a character, and I like that this episode referenced another past episode of Boruto in which Denki trained taijutsu with Rock Lee. I still remember that episode. I enjoyed it, actually. Yeah, it was referenced in this episode, and we saw Denki again in the usual Might Guy, Rock Lee, Metal Lee clothes. Anyway, that was your Bird Channel Hokage. Twitter, Discord, Instagram, and second channel links are in the description of this video. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.